Actually, what kind of a sequence is arithmetic sequence? Remember about a sequence. Kore kgone go recognize your sequence. This is arithmetic sequence because of this and this. And then another thing, we move from one term to another. Re dira bjang? Re add, re multiply, or what? So, kilo ja botlhokwa about the sequence. Now, a re lebelele gore arithmetic sequence re tseba ka eng. Arithmetic sequence re tseba ka gore re na le the constant difference between the terms. So, re shumisha this letter D to represent the constant difference. D is equals to T2 minus T1, which is equals to T3 minus T2, which is equals to T4 minus T3, which is equals to T5 minus T4, so on and so forth. So, this is our term number 1. And this is our term number 2. This is our term number 3. These 3 dots, do you know some other terms after 7? And then those terms differ. Now, every time you feel a sequence, you try to check or the constant difference between the terms. The constant difference between the terms is T2 minus T1. It's only T3 minus T2. So, we got T2 minus T1. Get 5 minus 3. 5 minus 3 get 2. And then T3 minus T2, which is 7 minus 5. Over 2 again. Because this number yatswana, we subtract our terms. So this number will be the constant difference. Meaning every time when I feel a sequence, try to get term 2 we minus term number 1 and then we get term 3 we minus term 2 we create those terms yatswana. Then what about the arithmetic sequence? So every time about the arithmetic sequence, the constant difference between the terms. Another thing is important about arithmetic sequence. The next term, meaning term number 4, remove from term number 3, term number 4. Add the constant difference. In this case, our constant difference is 2. So this means or 7 plus 2 are for 9. And then we do the same thing. 9 plus 2 is 11. So we add the constant difference. I'll label this example. The arithmetic sequence. This means the constant difference between the terms, meaning T2 minus T1. It's only T3 minus T2. This is our term number 1, term number 2, and term number 3. So, the constant difference. T2 minus T1. So T2 minus T1, it's 8 minus 11. So 8 minus 11 is negative 3. And then T3 minus T2 is 5 minus 8. So 5 minus 8 is negative 3. Because this number which is constant, this number then this means this is the arithmetic sequence. So, the next term, add the constant difference. In this case, our constant difference is negative 3. So, 5 minus 3. So 5 minus 3, it's 2. Remember, for this one, our constant difference is really 2. So that is why I added like a 2. But for this one, our constant difference is negative 3. So that is why I minus 3. And then, again, we do the same thing. We 2 minus 3. And then 2 minus 3 is negative 4. So, can you talk about the arithmetic sequence? Moving from one term to another. Add the constant difference. But let's say if question is find term number 1000. Level the sequence. Re tseba hore re nyaka term ya ho latela. Re add the constant difference. So this means re nyaka term ya ho latela, re add 2 again. Ra ba le 30. But the question is re tlo add 2 o fihlela up until re fihlela term number 1000. If question ka find the term number 1000. Or either 2 or term number 7, or either 2 or term number 8, or dira in this way up until you finish term number 1000. So that one is a time consuming. You consider something like that in your test or in your exam because it will jana go fail. So ranale the nth term formula. The nth term formula is to create any term for the sequence. More especially the terms if question I gotta find the term number 1000. So oshumisha that nth term formula we're gonna create your term number 1000. Ntle go tsamo add the terms up until you fihlela term number 1000. So I rebel that nth term formula. This is our nth term formula. This nth term formula will create any term for the sequence. But let's understand each variable for this formula. A is our first term. A is term number 1. So if reshumisha this sequence, this means our A is 3. But if reshumisha this sequence, this means our A is 11. And then n give the number of terms. N is the position. So if question you gotta find the term number 100, this means for n it will be 100 because the position 100. This is term number 7. This is term number 3, and this is term number 4. If question you gotta find the term number 4, this means for n it will be a 4, and then it will create 9 because term number 4 is 9. And then D is the constant difference. D kino modular add or subtract move from one term to another. So in other words, D is T2 minus T1 or T3 minus T2. This is our D. So every time you get D, you get term 2 y minus term 1 or you can take T3 y minus term number 2 so it will create your D. But now let's go over some practice problems or those questions did you have in your test or in your exam. This is example number 1. Consider the arithmetic sequence. So this is arithmetic sequence. And then what are really our first 4 terms? This is term number 1. This is term number 2. Term number 3. And term number 4. Before I don't answer any question, let's try to recap the arithmetic sequence. For arithmetic sequence, the constant difference between the terms, meaning T2 minus T1 is equals to T3 minus T2, which is equals to T4 minus T3, so on and so forth. And then again, for arithmetic sequence, ge re move from one term to another, re add the constant difference. Meaning, let's say if re nyaka term number 5, re tlo no tšea term number 4, re add the constant difference. So that is something you lo re a tseba. But in this case, I try go bona our constant difference. Re tseba our constant difference e lekana le T2 minus T1, or you can say T3 minus T2. So T2 minus T1, which is -2 minus -8, and then is 6. T3 minus T2 is 4 minus -2, and then is 6 also. So this means this is arithmetic indeed. Now, let's go to number A. Write down the next term of the sequence. So, finding the next term, it's easy because re a tseba gore ge re move from one term to another, re add the constant difference. And then in this case, our constant difference is 6. So, re nyaka term number 5, re move from term number 4. This means term number 5, it's 10 plus 6, which is 16. So this is our term number 5. Let's go to number B. If the nth term of the sequence is 148, determine the value of n. Ra tseba gore for arithmetic sequence, re na le the nth term formula. So, ba re file the nth term, or is 148. So, I don't want that nth term formula. Tn is equal to a plus n minus 1 times d. Barely our nth term is 148. And then our a is term number 1, which is -8. Remember gore resolver n. D rena le yona, which is 6. So 148 is equals to -8. So 6 times -1. Re try to break out the bracket, re kgone go ba le the value of n e le ka ntle ga di bracket. So 6 times -1 is -6, and then 6 times n is 6n. Minus 8 minus 6, it's -14. Remember re nyaka the value of n. So this means re tlo tšea -14, right tlisha to the other side, because ke di like terms yona le 148. And then re ba le 148 plus 14 is equal to 6n. And then 148 plus 14 is 162. And then now ka re nyaka our n, this means re tlo divide both sides ka 6. So ge re divide both sides ka 6, 162 divided by 6 is 27. So this is our answer. Really, the value of n. So the value of n is 27. And that's it for this problem. I level this example. Consider the finite arithmetic sequence. So, varfile the finite. The word finite get the opposite of the infinite. If sequence is the infinite, that sequence I fail. This means either terming forever and ever, but but in this case, the finite. If this sequence is finite, our sequence fail. This is term number 1, and this is term number 2, and this is term number 3. After term number 3, there are some other terms because these 3 dots. And then after those terms, term ya mafelelo ke 300 because e ka mafelelo. And then after 300, this means ga go sana le terms tse dingwe tse le ka di adder because this is a finite sequence ya rena ya felela. So now our answer number A. Determine the expression for the nth term. This is our nth term formula, yeah, the arithmetic. Our A is term number 1, which is 18. And then D is the constant difference. That's why D is T2 minus T1 or T3 minus T2. So D in this case, T2 minus T1, 24 minus 18 is 6. So this is 6. Our multiplier a bracket or n karga bracket. So 6 times n, 6n. 6 times negative 1 is negative 6. And therefore 18 minus 6, because it like terms, then this is 12. And then this is our nth term formula. Now let's go to number B. This is number A. Find term number 12 of this sequence. So this means we're going to term number 12. And then that's about the nth term formula. We're to create any term for the sequence. So this is our nth term formula. And then we're term number 12. So this means T12 is equals to 6 times. So for n, it will be 12 because we're term number 12. Remember, n is the number of terms. Therefore 6 times 12 plus 12 is 48. And this is our answer. This is T12, by the way. And this is answer for number B. This means you can add the terms after term number 3 up until term number 12. So your answer is for 48. Number C, which term of the sequence is equal to 78? Question only 78, but is in term number what? For example, only 18, but the 18 is in term number 1. Only 24, and the 24 is in term number 2. But only 78, and the 78 is in term number what? So 78 is in term number what? Find the n, the number of terms. The number of terms here 78. So 78 is in term number 1. And therefore, our nth term formula. Because the only place we can create our n, our nth term formula. Our Tn in this case is 78 because we're feeling 78. The value of n is 78. So from here, resolve the value of n. 78 minus 12 is equal to 6n. And then 78 minus 12 is 66. Dividing both sides by 6, or create the value of n. Therefore, our n is equal to 11. And this is our answer. This means 78 is in term number 11. So now let's go to number D. But erase everything or create the space. Number D, calculate the number of terms in the sequence. Actually, question ya go tseba gore re na le di-terms tse kae. This is term number 1, term number 2, term number 3. Rabal some other terms after term number 3. And then 300 ke term ya mafelelo. So, question ya go tseba re terms tsa rena ga di feletse ka moka ke tse kae. So, this means re nyaka the number of terms. And then re tla shumisha our nth term formula again. Because nth term formula ke yona ena le o n. Then our nth term formula re kry-ile gore 6n plus 12. So, for tn, re tlo beya 300. Ke tlo explain our why 300. And remember gore re solve n, number of terms. E re ke tlhalose re why re shumisha 300. 300 ke our last term. So, ge re ka tseba gore the last term is in term number what? Then re tlo tseba gore na le how many terms. Let's say, for example, these people ba sere a queue. And then on the batho ba bangwe ba go latela mo ke. These people ba ya in this direction. And then this person kwa mafelelo. O kwa mathomo go ba le batho ba go latela, but this one kwa mafelelo. Let's say if this person on number 10. If this person on number 10 and kwa mafelelo, this means these people are ba feletse by 10 because this person kwa mafelelo and then on number 10 and then o kwa mathomo. So ra re ba feletse by 10. So the reason re substitute ka 300 is because 300 ke our last term e ka mafelelo. Ge re ka tseba gore yona is in term number what, then re tlo tseba re di-terms tse tsa rena ge di feletse kaofela ga tsona ke tse kae. So that is why I chose 300. Therefore, re nyaka the value of n. 300 minus 12. Ke tšere 12 ke isha to the other side. Then 300 minus 12 is 288. And then now, re nyaka the value of n. This means re divide both sides ka 6. So 288 divided by 6 is 48. Now, this means re na le 48 terms. This is term number 48. So, because e ka mafelelong, this means the terms tsa rena ge di feletse ka moka ke 48. So, we're answering number D, and that's it for this problem. This example ke mafelelo. Given the arithmetic sequence, so ba re file di terms tsa rena di na le a variable inside. This is term number 1, term number 2, and term number 3. Determine the value of W and the first 3 terms of the sequence. So every time re ba ka o fa di terms tsa gago di na le a variable inside, question e nyaka gore find your terms or you find the unknown variable. In this case ba re ba nyaka W. So every time o tlo tshwanela gore shumishe that knowledge ya gore for arithmetic sequence re na the constant difference between the terms, meaning T2 minus T1 is equals to T3 minus T2. And then now our substitute ka di terms tsa rena. T2 ya rena is 2W minus 4. And then term 1 ya rena is W minus 3. T3 is 23 minus W. And then T2 is 2W minus 4. So every time o try on okela the terms tsa inside the bracket, because go ka se di be ka red bracket di tlo confuse and then o tlo end up okry answer wrong. So now re solve the value of W. negative times w is negative w, and then negative times negative 3 is positive 3. Negative times 2w is negative 2w, and then negative times negative 4 is positive 4. So re add the like terms 2w and minus w over w, minus 4 plus 3, it's negative 1, and then 23 plus 4 is 27, minus 2w, so it's negative 3w. And then now we can group the like terms, w edulal w, and then a number edulal a number. So probably w plus 3w is equals to 27 plus 1. Get negative 3w can share to the other side, yeah, change also, and the negative 1 can share to the other side, yeah, change also. Therefore probably 4w is equals to 28. And then now, because the value of w, this means to divide both sides ka w. So in this case w is equals to 7, because 28 divided by 4 is 7. So this is our answer for w. Recalculate the value of w. And then because question area determine our first 3 terms, this means our w substitute to our terms. T1 it's w minus 3, and then finally the value of w, and then the value of w is 7. So this means our substitute is 7, and then 7 minus 3 is 4. So this is our term number 1. And then term number 2 is equals to 2w minus 4, and then w is 7, and then 2 times 7 minus 4 is 10. This is term number 2. And then term number 3, 23 minus w, and then this is 23 minus 7, and then 23 minus 7 is 16. So this is our first 3 terms. Term number 1 is 4, term number 2 is 10, term number 3 is 16. And so that's it for this problem.